Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Ted Lasso, Season 1, Episode 9, All Apologies is the episode I am talking about today. As we last left the crew of AFC Richmond, there was still some unfinished business. Rebecca still was confronted by Keeley. Keeley knows now about Rebecca's plot to sabotage the team, and so some unresolved issues. This episode starts after AFC Richmond loses. Actually, I don't know if they lost, but Roy definitely had a bad game, and apparently he's been having bad games. So we're in the training room. Roy is taking an ice bath. And Ted comes in to kind of console him, to talk to him about his bad game. But nothing much really happens, you know. Then Ted goes and meets with Rebecca to discuss as well to thank her again for helping him out with his panic attack, and then also, whatever. To just talk about the bad games or whatever. And then Keeley comes back in to confront Rebecca. She pulls her out of her office into a little shoe locker and confronts her, telling her that she needs to come clean to Ted, or she will. Which Rebecca wants to do, but is nervous about doing. And there is a theme in this episode that runs through multiple times, multiple characters, this theme of girls. Girls being silly, being playful, being mysterious, potentially dangerous. But it's a kind of a theme that runs through many characters discussing the hidden powers of little girls. And I think that theme is related to, in some ways, how adults can become children, especially, acting out when they're hurt. A lot of times adults will revert to childhood kind of ways of dealing with things. But usually well-adjusted adults only rarely divert into childlike behavior. While some adults, especially these days, seem to be having public tantrums far too often. There is just in a lot of ways an epidemic of adults acting like children. So I think that theme in this episode of the unpredictability of girls is something that is related to Rebecca in some ways, in kind of why the reasons why she was acting, how she was acting when it comes to wanting to sabotage the club to get back at Rupert. But that's a theme that kind of runs through the episode. Then we cut to a press conference where the press is asking Ted about Roy's ability to lead the team, to be a productive member of the team, because he has been making a lot of mistakes recently in past games. Then later, after the press conference, Nate and Coach Beard pull Ted aside and regurgitate in a lot of ways, reinforce those same thoughts about Roy, that he is potentially on the downside of his career. He's past his prime, and he needs to be pulled from upcoming games because they're getting close to the wire. They're getting down to the wire where they need to rack up some wins so that it will affect their next season. Despite the fact that Ted is very much a coach who is primarily focused on the growth and improvement of his players and people that are part of the organization outside of the game of football, but there are some real world consequences for not getting wins, and there's a moment in this show where Coach Beard actually does confront Ted later on at the pub not really confronts him, but they meet up at the pub, and he comes clean about what he wants, that wins are important to Coach Beard as well as the players, because it is their careers. And Coach Beard, it's his career as well. Which I think that's part of the dynamic that works so well with Coach Beard and Ted. That Ted, the big picture of Ted is to get everybody working together and to have a high morale. And when you have those conditions, then that's where a person like Coach Beard can come in. And once the machine is working properly, Coach Beard comes in and programs that machine to work efficiently, to execute plays and ways to win. And I think that team dynamic that Ted and Coach Beard have are the reason why they had past success. But that's later on in the episode, obviously. Rebecca texts Roy after, so Ted gets confronted with Nate and Coach Beard, who are emphasizing the need to bench Roy for the next game because they need the win. While Ted is being confronted with that, he gets a text from Rebecca saying that she needs to talk. Obviously, she's going to be confessing to him. But once he gets to her office, she's nervous and she can't, and she stammers, and something else happens, and she bails on it. She chokes. She doesn't go through with apologizing to Ted, and immediately after Ted leaves her office, after really nothing happens. I mean, she attempts to say it, but she can't. Right after that, Rupert shows up. And as per use, as Rupert's style, he shows up to deliver another blow to Rebecca. He tells her that he's having that Bex, new Rebecca, is pregnant. And Rebecca finds out that, in their marriage, Rupert never wanted to have kids. And he tells Rebecca in this moment, after telling her that his new fiance is pregnant, that he just never wanted to have kids with her. So yet another just asshole thing to do for Rupert. And this is the straw that breaks Rebecca's back. Despite tears, she goes down to Ted's office in the locker room, and she confesses to everything. It's probably one of the best apologies. Like, as far as somebody in a TV show having to apologize for what she's been doing to not only the team, but specifically to the people in the team, like Ted, to try and sabotage it. Amazing performance by the actress, giving whoever plays Rebecca, for giving that apology, because it felt truly heartfelt, and it felt truly sincere. And Ted, being Ted, instantly forgives her, and also relates to her acting not normal because of divorce. Divorce is hard. He understands the pressures that it is to go through divorce on some level. I mean, what Ted's going through with his divorce is a bit more amicable than what Rebecca went through. But because Ted's divorce, is still messing with him. I mean, there were episodes where you clearly saw Ted, like, just kind of losing it, not being the normal Ted, being a very angry Ted, making you act out of character, as it were. Ted understands that Rebecca was acting out of character. And again, relating back to the theme of this episode, that girls can be quite mysterious and quite silly and quite it's kind of hard to figure out at times. And I think that theme of this episode relates a lot to Rebecca in her mental state, as far as dealing with everything she was dealing with, and thinking that, getting back at Rupert would be the answer. Which, if you think about it, I mean, it's great. It's great. It's the thing that I was wanting more than anything in this season is for Rebecca to not. And of course, the second to last episode is the one in which she apologizes and comes clean. But the best kind of victory that she can have over Rupert, the one thing that she could have over Rupert that would destroy him, would be to run a more successful franchise group soccer team than Rupert was able to. For her to get the praise from the tabloids that Rupert could never get, that would be the ultimate revenge, I would say, instead of trying to destroy something that no longer belongs to him. I mean, I guess he still has a minority share now, or at least his fiance does, which I wouldn't be surprised if that whole thing, the fact that Rupert doesn't actually have ownership, he's just engaged to a person that, like, he jumped through a loophole. I could see that in the second season, that potentially going bad for Rupert. Like him losing, like them getting a divorce, and she takes, who knows? I'm sure they would have a prenup or whatever, but I could see that being potentially a plot line in the second season, if Rupert's even around at all. I don't know. But I am excited for the new season. But yeah, so she finally apologizes. After the apology, Ted goes out to practice, and Coach Beard and Nate are still giving him the silent treatment because Ted is unwilling to bench Roy, and they want to win. They want to win. And then while Ted is doing that, Rebecca, after she's on a roll now of coming clean, she goes to Higgins' house, and Higgins is playing his stand-up bass with his, his goatee, and he's got his cool groove going, and she shows up to apologize to him, which is good, and he ends up coming back into the fold. Then, of course, you have Roy, who finally has been confronted by Ted. Ted says that he wants to bench him, and Roy is angry because ego. So he goes and tracks down Keeley to talk to her, which is a good conversation. She's a good person to talk to because she's, had relationships with soccer players, but also understands what it is to age out of a situation, that most things don't last forever. She's a model, so I would imagine models have a clarity to themselves that know that it's a career that doesn't have a long lifespan to it. And Roy has to know that as well. Athletes have there's only a window of opportunity for athletes, and then they start to age out. So they have a nice conversation of identity, and that Roy, despite Roy thinking that his identity is soccer, he's there with his niece or whatever. And she, Keeley asks her what she thinks of Roy, and she spouts out a bunch of things that have nothing to do with him being a football player. It's a changing point, just another changing point for Roy. It seems like every episode Roy has some kind of goes through some kind of growth, through some kind of change, and it was becoming the leader of the team, and now it's not necessarily not being the leader, but it's not going to be the leader on the pitch, as it were. He's not going to be the tip of the spear on the field, but he can still be the leader, and it's him grappling with that change, with not only that kind of just that new leadership role, but also like a life change for athletes. It's, I know, especially for MMA fighters, retirement is one of the toughest things, and most of them come back from retirement more times than they ever should, and stay in the game way longer than they should. I would imagine soccer is quite a bit different. Aging out, you get shuffled around quite a bit easier because so much money is involved with the teams. I mean, it's not an individual sport. So Roy has a good conversation with Keeley. They're they're two people, like their relationship makes sense, you know, because they're both experience-wise, with life experience. They're able to have conversations like that where, you know, somebody like Jamie, you know, he's still on the rise. It's like that side of the mountain hasn't even become a reality to him yet. So, you know, for Keeley and Roy, they both have an understanding of what it is to age out. And then we go to the pub, as I mentioned before, where Ted shows up and Beard is there, and Beard is drunk, and he confronts Ted and tells Ted that winning does mean a lot to him and means a lot to the players. And again, I said, you know, that I think Beard and Ted are the best coach duo because they're both really good at different aspects of coaching and making a successful team. And it really shows with Coach Beard's passion to want to win, and as well as the fans. I mean, the byproduct of having a team that works well together and a team with high morale, the byproduct of that should be wins. So you should want to have at least part of the analytics of what you're looking at. You want to make sure that you're focused on that byproduct that you want too. But yeah, winning, important to Beard. And then the next day, of course, actually going back to the bar. So Coach Beard tells Ted, drunk, gets drunk. You know, there's 4 pints of beer just left there for him because Coach Beard bounces out. Cut to Ted stumbling out of the bar, meeting Roy on the street. And that's actually where they have the conversation. He has a conversation with Roy, and Roy's like, well, I still have an image to uphold because even if it may be done for him at AFC Richmond, there are other leagues, like, you know, he mentioned being, you know, hired by some team in the U.S., which he would be, you know, an all-star at in the U.S. if he went there. So his career isn't over necessarily, even though it's not going to be at the highest level. So they work out a way to where Roy can, if he wants, can say that he's injured, and that be the reason why he doesn't play their last game. I don't know, in the regular season or whatever. But showing up the next morning, Roy shows up late and puts on the second team jersey, kind of showing that he's accepting his role as the second team. Not clear if he's going to be injured or not, or if he's just allowing Ted to pull him. I guess we'll find out in the next episode what story they go with, why he doesn't play. But clearly Roy accepting it. And after the credits, because the whole credits are playing while the locker room is slowly kind of emptying out as the players get ready to go out to practice. And Roy is the last one in the locker room at the end of the credits. And before he leaves, he taps that believe sign that Ted put up above the coach door. You know, kind of showing Roy that he's, once again, out of all of the characters in this show, he is by far the one that has shown the most growth. And I enjoy his character a lot. I enjoy a lot of the characters. You know, you have Danny Rojas in this episode, while not being, you know, just being in the background. He's got just an amazing energy to him. You're seeing Ted finally start to smooth out emotionally. You're seeing Rebecca finally come clean and apologize. You're really seeing all of the pieces finally come together now that the cancer is in remission, now that Rebecca is no longer trying to sabotage the team, now that they have a goal to get some wins and to be, you know, to move on in status or whatever. It's good. I'm excited for the last episode and even more excited to see what happens in the next season. But that's it for Ted Lasso Season 1, Episode 9, All Apologies. Get yourself some amazing coffee over at stationhousecoffee.com and follow Station House Coffee on Instagram. That's your place for small batch, single origin, premium coffee brewed in Thetford Center, Vermont, shipped directly to you. Go now to stationhousecoffee.com and order yourself some amazing coffee. And don't forget to follow Station House Coffee on Instagram. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!